they're starting a new project this week. Going to do something a little different. Go through the beginning of the project, and uh, what I've got, and I don't have a good way to share this image with folks on the stream, but I have a pair of uh, Adafruit. It's listed on the parts inventory as Adafruit Bluetooth development tool, but what it really is an Adafruit circuit playground, and I've got a pair of them. And these are, if you haven't seen a circuit playground, it's got a microprocessor on it. It's got a bunch of sensors and output things already built in. So this has Bluetooth built in, which is why I grabbed it. It has some buttons built in. It has a set of LED lights built into it, the addressable kind that you can change the color on. It may have sound on it. I don't know. I haven't played with that feature yet or looked at that. And the thing that interested me about it is it had a Nordic Semiconductor processor. I had somebody ask me if I knew anything about setting up a build pipeline for Nordic Semiconductor processors, and I said no. What is that? And then I discovered the Circuit Playground had one, and so now I will be able to answer yes when this person asks me yet again. So the for this project, what I want to do is build a sort of a Bluetooth toy, and I'm gonna admit here I'm stealing my initial idea directly from a product called Jewel Blocks, uh, which is based around a very similar platform. And the idea with Jewel Blocks is each of these toys is assigned a color. Uh, a group of friends gets these toys, and everybody has their own color. And when somebody is near you in Bluetooth terms and visible on your Bluetooth network, their color lights up uh, on your device. So that seemed like a really good starting point for a project. And
So how do you want to go about figuring out what the project is beyond that?
yeah, well, I think we need to figure out features that we want, and that's also going to drive features that we need, because we might want something like each unit has to have its own color. We probably need to have a method to figure out what that color is. Uh, I think maybe to start with, I'm going to start a new project here, and you'll excuse me. We're actually going to do this entire project in the web browser, but because I was talking and everything was sitting idle, the stream switched over to code. So let's create a blank project here, and we probably shouldn't put JewelBot Thief as the project name, even if that's what we're actually doing. Um, so I'm gonna go with something like, just a second. Uh, I have to change a little something here in my output. Uh, all right. I don't know where I set that up. I'll have to dig that out later. All right. So the long and short of this is it's really important for me to keep the web browser active. I'm just going to close Visual Studio Code. And we're going to keep it in the browser. And project name. Okay, that's all the way to having gotten annoying. Just a second. I actually have to find a way to keep I have to keep my auto swapper from kicking in here. All right. That should stop that. Okay. So now that I have stopped my auto swapping from kicking in, as much as that would have saved me on other sessions, there's clearly issues with it. So we need to give this thing a name. Let's just call it Bluetooth Toy right now. We can give it a cooler name later, but the project name will stay Bluetooth Slug. Let's see. So our project description: create a Bluetooth toy that notifies you when a friend is near. We're going to make this public. And for grins, we'll put a README in there so it creates a non-bear repository. All right, so there is our non-bear repository. I'm actually not going to clone this yet. Normally I would clone this right away, but we actually have to figure out what our project is. So we need to go and make a board. All right, we actually have a board, an issue board. Our development board. All right, that'll work. It's a fine name for our board. And so,
does GitLab have kind of a thing we can set up a Kanban board?
Yeah. So I don't know, Butch, if you can see on the shared screen the issue board or not that I have up.
I can.
Okay. So yeah, they just start with a simple basic Kanban board. They do open. They just do open and closed, and I really think we should also add an in progress board. The following list to your issue board with one click: to do and doing. Yeah, I think that's fine. Yeah. Let's see what we get. So things in the open column are things that haven't been prioritized yet. To do, they've been prioritized, and doing, it's what we actually are working on, and closed is what's been completed.
Sweet.
What's this little coffee mug thing here? Oh, there's nothing to do, so we can just go drink coffee. That's cool. They've already figured out how I work. The day starts after the coffee is made. Meetings held before that will not necessarily go the way people want them to go. And I can actually stretch this board out so we get a better full view on the stream. So hopefully that is just a little bit nicer for people. Let's see. So let's just start putting in some features that we know we want. So I outlined one, or I think I outlined one and implied another. I think we want to be notified when a friend is near. Does that seem like a good thing?
It does. And the other one you mentioned was to be able to set the device color.
Yep. All right, so we've got two issues out there, and we should probably flesh those out. And we're going to need to create a nice README document out of this at some point, too. And for everybody out there who's never seen a GitLab issue board before, and GitHub has the same thing, these are, you don't need an external tool. If you're using one of these, you don't need an external tool to manage your workflow. These are really simple workflow tools, but they will get the job done. So you don't need, unless your project has complex tracking needs, most personal projects don't. You can probably get by just with using one of the boards built into something like GitLab or GitHub.
These come pretty close to replicating stickies on a wall.
Yeah.
And has the added benefit of being online. So if you're doing remote sharing with other collaborators, then they can see the same thing you see.
Yeah, and since all of our collaboration is remote these days, that's a real advantage. And the other thing where these are like stickies on a wall is there just isn't much to them. So that's really kind of nice. There usually is a little automation around, you can reference a card number in a pull request, and you get appropriate links, and it may even move it into an appropriate state for you. I know GitHub does that. I don't know. I don't remember if GitLab will move
we'll,
something into a certain state.
we'll find out.
We will. All right, let's flesh out set device color first. And my thought on this is, as a device user, I want to choose which color represents me to my friends. Is that Does that seem like a good user statement for this?
Seems like a good one. It needs to have the because in there.
Yeah,
the value you get out of that.
So that they know, okay, that's really important. If you didn't catch that, we need to tell the developer why this is important, because if we don't do that, when somebody else comes back and develops this, or when I come back and develop this next week and I don't remember what I had to do, or I don't remember my reasoning, I'm going to implement the wrong thing, or I'm likely to implement the wrong thing because I don't understand why I'm doing it. So as a device user, I want to select which color represents me to my friends so that they know I am here, or I am near.
And having a clear, simple why in there also allows for when you do get to this card, somebody could read that and say, I see why you need this. I think there's a better way or a different way. And then you can have a discussion and conversation about which way to choose.
Yeah, that's a really good point, because I might have one way in mind and there might be something that makes a lot more sense from another point of view. In fact, I can think of two different ways to implement this just off the top of my head. If we were making some sort of social toy where there was maybe a website where you configure your network of friends, it might make sense to have your color picker there. But if this is more a peer-to-peer sort of thing, then it might make sense, without access to the internet, then it might make more sense to have a method right on the device for picking your color. All right. I don't know. I don't think the card needs much more than that. Now let's put some acceptance criteria.
Yeah, we want some acceptance criteria, and you want to be sure that as you're writing these, that you avoid putting into them the hows right now. You just want to know what it is that you think you need, why you need it, who it's going to apply to, so that you have good context for that, and then how you will know that you have actually accomplished it, which is the acceptance criteria. And all the actual implementation and how and other things about it, you want to not delve into those details at this point.
Okay, so I see this as a two-step thing, two things that have to actually be accomplished. One is that I can choose the defined colors, and the other is that it needs to remember the defined colors. Remember the chosen color. Because when it's time to notify my friends that I'm near, I have to have that color available. And there is an open question: does it need to remember this? Does it need to remember the color between power offs? So my thinking on this, and I haven't got the full circuit on it yet, is it obviously has to have a battery. It should also have some sort of recharge mechanism. Uh, if it loses power, does it have a way to recall what it knew? I might be getting ahead of myself because I don't know if the device actually has any persistent memory.
Yeah, I was going to go down uh, that, and even the second acceptance criteria here, in some sense, could be a separate stories. I mean,
It definitely could be. I had trouble seeing the value of this story if I don't remember it in some way.
yeah, that's reasonable.
Uh, yeah, and I don't like. I guess I don't like to leave. That's a thing that could be if that's left ambiguous. I think that could. Uh,
Yep.
that could add a problem. All right, now here's something funny. I don't remember is there a save feature here.
So just save as you type.
Yeah, I don't know.
In this case, I would like copy all that text to the
Yep.
clipboard and then start a new issue and see what happens.
Well, I've got an issue out there already, is the thing. So I kind of want to go back to my board. Okay, it
Awesome.
remembered it. That's great. Uh, Now, the interesting thing is, I actually kind of would have expected it to put to show all that stuff on here, or have a way to show it anyway. If I put that in to do, I feel like we're ready to move that over into to do, aren't we?
Sure.
It's got the information it needs to be played. All right. All right. Notify when a friend is near. Um,
So what does that mean?
all right.
How
So
does
yeah. So my thinking, because this thing has a ring of lights on it, and the
yeah?
lights are color addressable. When somebody gets within Bluetooth range, and these are Bluetooth low energy devices, so the range is actually pretty good. Uh, One of the lights will light up with their color.
Okay.
Does that seem like a reasonable goal?
Yes.
Okay. And if there's a better
I
goal,
was Yeah, I was pondering if I could have come up with anything better, but right now I can't. So we're going to say yes and move on.
yep. Well, the beauty of a backlog is, we can always go back and say, "Yeah, I don't like that story. Let's come up with it differently." And anybody who's actually online and listening to this, please feel free to chime in with your own your questions or your suggestions in the chat. We are not game designers. We do not know what we're doing. We will be more than happy to have somebody with a little experience, either playing games or writing games, give us ideas. So, as a device user, I want a visual notification of a friend near me.
So that
So that uh, so that I know my friends are nearby. So acceptance criteria for this. You sound like maybe you have a question about the user statement.
no, I had forgotten we need to do acceptance criteria. I was going to move on to making other comments. So carry on.
Yep. So when a friend is in range, one of the lights on the device will light up with their chosen color. And this is card 1. The other one was card number 2.
Okay.
I think that number 2 in there will.
I think that would be a smart. Oh, cool.
Yep. Okay. So that's one of the advantages these things definitely have over stickies is that you can do that kind of linking. All right. So I don't know if it needs another acceptance criteria. I think that might be sufficient.
So do we make the light going off when the new friend is not near part of this, or is that a separate story?
Let's make that a separate story.
All right.
Let's think about how these devices work by nature.
Well,
let's put that criteria right in here.
I was going back to your comment about what was valuable here, and if it comes on and shows that they were near at some time in the recent past, but then it never goes off, I guess that has minimal value, and that at least tells you they were nearby.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. That does actually deliver value. So I think that's a really good point. I'll leave it, move on. But I think that means we do need to have another card.
Yes. Leads into a pretty reasonable next card.
It does. So notify when a friend is near, is ready to play. And turn off light.
I think I'd follow the same pattern. Notify when a friend is no longer near.
Yeah.
And then the method of notification will be the light goes off. But
I like that. Keep that pattern.
Yep.
Yeah. As a device user, I want to be notified when a friend is no longer near, so I don't start any stuff that I might need backup for.
So I know they left.
Yes. Don't get all cocky thinking I got backup.
Yeah, I think that's pretty straightforward acceptance criteria. There you go.
Color blade associated with the friend goes out. We haven't. I have only 2 physical devices. Probably there's more fun interactions that could be had with 3 lights.
So you want it goes out under certain conditions, though, right?
Oh yeah, the colored light. Thank you. Color light associated with the friend goes out when the friend's device is no longer in Bluetooth range.
Cool.
Oh, maybe we should clarify that on number 2 or number 1.
That's a good point. It's a good point.
As in Bluetooth range. And specifically, I think we want to use Bluetooth low energy. It'll give us longer gameplay.
Yeah, and I don't think we will, for the story itself, I don't think we'll care. The range will be defined by the capabilities that we enable, but as long as they're in communication range, then it'll do our thing.
Yeah, that's true.
I think it's fine to leave it specified. Just
yeah,
it won't matter if we decide to change it to not low energy
Yep. Yeah,
for the
I'm
gameplay.
doing that just because these devices have multiple radios in them,
Yeah,
or radio capabilities. And I kind of want to make it clear which one we're using.
yeah,
But you're right. I think there would be no risk to playing a later story that says we're doing this a different way. We're
yeah. There
using a
should be
different tech.
no change in the gameplay if we switch to different communications things that have a localized range on them anyway.
Yeah,
If we start doing something where I don't think these have Wi-Fi, but if we started doing something where they could communicate more over longer range communications, we might need to have some different criteria there.
yeah. I could definitely see some fun stuff we could do with mesh networking. And
Yeah,
I've definitely seen Bluetooth mesh networking libraries out there that work on embedded devices. So that could be a whole lot of fun to share something like that. It would change the initial game because the initial game was just is my friend near or not,
yeah.
and now it becomes is my friend in the network.
Well, and that gets us to, like you were saying, we don't really know what the game is or have good concepts of gameplay design, but it's going to be okay that if we come up in the beginning with a super boring game to get things rolling, that's fine.
Yeah, and with
And
this
and then we'll add features as we think of them.
yeah, and with this game as it is, I actually can see a type of tag of distance tag playable.
Yeah. Yep.
I can use hey, I went in this direction and their signal went out. I went in this other direction, the signal stayed strong, so I can go find them over that way.
Mhm.
I don't know how playable that will be. I think the solution will be to put cases on a couple of these things and send them out with some people and see if they can play. I think a game that's played at something of a distance and outside has a lot of value right now. Okay, so I think that's our backlog for right now. Uh,
Does that give us enough to get started on setting up the various
I think that would, yeah.
pipelines and things?
Yeah, we would have enough that we can write enough. We have enough that we can write some code. Well, no. So those are features. Um, I think there's some stories we need to write about um, the background things that we need to do just to track the work. The
Okay.
background things that we need to do for making, building our pipelines and getting the support infrastructure up. Uh, and there might even be something we need to do about uh, hardware setup. Things like how do I charge the battery, or uh, actually setting up the battery and the charger. I think that's all stuff we need to research yet. But we definitely need a bit of sample code that we can run through a build pipeline. Uh, so create a Hello World program. And the purpose of my Hello World I want a I want a simple program to test that builds are, or to test that, to confirm that builds and code pushes are, or builds are correct for the device. criteria. Software can be built with a command line build on a developer workstation. Resulting binary artifact can be deployed or can be pushed to the device or can be installed on the device. And device displays the expected light pattern. All right, survey says that's correct, or it looks good.
Okay.
And we need also all right, so this is an interesting situation. Well, actually, let's not create the new issue just right now. Let's go back to the issue we had.
So what are you thinking?
So this first item here actually implies the existence of another item. That there is a build defined in a build tool such as make or CMake.
Okay.
Because the other alternative is manually typing all of the commands to build the binary components and link it. I don't feel like doing that. It's not that I can't, it's that I really don't want to. And I'm hopeful we can use CMake for this. In some recent experiments with STM32 and some common libraries that I liked, I'm going to prioritize this. Well, let me not move it yet. Anyway, I found that using CMake going straight to CMake was difficult. Things have been built around some make scripts that didn't easily translate to CMake. Which was disappointing but workable. I think we've demonstrated even on here we can get make to work for us. It just feels easier when we can do it in CMake, or maybe the output looks prettier and I like it more.
Yeah, I was trying to think of. We'll have to talk some about what issues you had and why that just couldn't be invoked from CMake.
There was a lot of automation built into their make scripts. I haven't looked at the official SDK for these devices, so I don't know if they have also built in that sort of automation. We haven't really, we have options for how we program these devices. One is that we use the native SDK, which I like doing that because the native SDKs usually open up more features. The other option is that there are Arduino APIs for these devices. They have good Arduino support, and we could always use those.
Yeah, one of the challenges with using these kinds of things from Adafruit, super love Adafruit, but is they tend to move towards Scratch or some of the other very simplified build tools that are hard to automate.
Yeah. In fact, Scratch, these are definitely programmable by Scratch.
Right.
Somebody we know built a magic wand for his daughter with one of these. And he programmed it in Scratch, and it was the Microsoft. For those who haven't seen that before, Microsoft has created a Scratch compiler that will take a Scratch program, which turns itself into JavaScript, and that will compile it all the way down to a binary that can be loaded onto these devices. It's absolutely the most amazing thing. If you want to, I can't think off the top of my head what the repository is, but they made it public, and you can go and see a compiler implemented entirely in JavaScript. And it's both simple and beautiful and terrifying.
That would be terrifying. I know I'm trying to pull his name out of my list of things. He's one of the folks that works with Adafruit, and he uses Scratch for quite a lot of his projects, both on these kind of devices and on Raspberry Pis and things in the middle to do all kinds of automation. And it's pretty impressive what is available through Scratch now.
Yeah. Well, JavaScript's dirty little secret. They make it as hey, this is an easy language that anybody can use, and that's kind of true. That's also true of C. And it's true in the same way for both of these. It's an easy little language. It doesn't have a lot to it, but it has everything you need to build something crazy like a compiler.
Yes.
And I love that. That said, I'm not a JavaScript programmer. If you ask me to go write something in JavaScript, I can eventually turn in something that somebody straight out of a boot camp would be embarrassed to turn in. But
well, the fun thing about using something like Scratch, one, it's all visual.
Yeah.
These blocks and things, and two, you don't really know that there's JavaScript behind it when you're using it.
Yep, that's kind of the beauty of JavaScript, is it lets you layer stuff on like that. As does C, in fact. C is also
yes.
With that. Okay, so we should probably prioritize this card. I feel like this is probably one of the first things we should do. I don't feel like it matters a lot if we set device color if we don't know how to write code for the device itself.
Yeah, I did finally find his name, John Parks.
Okay.
You find John Parks Workshop on YouTube. He does a wide variety of automation things using Scratch.
Okay. That'll be fun. I found a CAD tool yesterday that used a Scratch-like language for defining three-dimensional objects, and I just thought that was fascinating.
Cool. So where are we now?
So we've got create a hello world, set device color, notify when a friend is near, notify when a friend is no longer near. There's a fifth card that I want to write, but isn't super critical right now, but I think would be good for achieving that ultimate goal of when our friend Bailey Steinfeld asks, "Hey, do you know anybody who knows how to build pipelines for CI pipelines for Nordic compilers?" We can answer yes.
Yes. And that's a good thing about, we call them a backlog, and we want to make sure people don't think that these are the required features, because we haven't decided that. They're just things that we might possibly do. So anytime we think of something we might possibly do with it, so that we remember it and remember the justification we had for it at the time we thought of it, we put it in the backlog. As we prioritize those things and move them over to yes, we've given them an acceptance criteria, we've fleshed them out, we've moved them to where it's definitely prioritized and moved into the to-do column, is when they actually become, these are things we are going to do. And my dog's going to bark.
I hear that. Is there brisket in the offing? Is that why your dog's all excited? All right, folks.
I'm guessing my son is coming home from work. Yes, is what the deal is.
The dog's just hopeful there's brisket in the offing. Okay, so when I submit code to the main branch, I'm going to call it main branch. folks are kind of sensitive around that, and we'll keep it that way. We'll respect that. I submit code as a developer. I want binary artifacts to be created automatically when I submit code to the main branch, so that I know that repository or that the code base is healthy. We can expand upon that later, because we aren't going to write this right away. My thought on this is leave it in the backlog because it's not something that's needed right now.
Right.
It's a nice thing to have right now. And ultimately, what I really want is I want a continuous delivery pipeline as well. But that's definitely in the nice to have, not the need to have right now. But I would absolutely love to have a little Raspberry Pi sitting in the corner over here, and somebody pushes to the main branch, and the Raspberry Pi fires up a build and pushes it right to the device. And maybe it can even... I haven't figured out how this would work yet, but in an ideal world, it could run some sort of test right on the device. But I think that's harder to do with this than it might be with other things.
That's one of the challenges with any embedded project, though. So
yeah, see the one where I had the problems using CMake, I already had a CD plan filled out, but that's because the input was square wave pulses on 4 pins, and the output was a message on a CAN bus. And those are all easy things to automate.
Yep.
Bluetooth is going to be significantly harder to simulate. It's going to take a little more effort and hardware that might not be present. And finding a light or simulating button pushes that we might need for color selection, all that gets a lot harder. So, all right, so we're going to leave that in the backlog. Are there any other stories we need tonight?
I can't think of any. We could go into kind of a brainstorming thing about what we would want future stories to be.
Okay, that's actually not terrible. Yeah,
and
I'm thinking not put them in the backlog until we actually decide if we vet them, until we vetted them with people that maybe are smarter than us.
Yeah. And this is where if we were in one of our wonderful offices, we would have, again, stickies on a wall, and we would just start making stickies and putting them up there and talking about them.
Yeah. Our alternative is something like a digital whiteboard.
Yeah. And I do have a personal mural account we can use if you want to play with that.
Let me look at something here.
You got some other options? That would be good.
Jamboard, I think.
Jamboard.
I don't remember if it does sticky. Yeah, it does stickies.
It sort of does stickies, yeah.
I use this for all my D&D stuff.
Oh, cool.
I guess it has stickies because somebody left a rude message on that sticky. Let's create another Jamboard. Oh, how do I create a Jamboard? Oh, there it is. My players were not fans of some of the... All right, and if I were nice here, Butch, I would invite you to my Jamboard.
ButchHoward@gmail.com.
Thank you.
Yeah, not that one. It doesn't work anymore.
Hey, it knows that one.
Yeah.
All right, and let's give it a title. Yeah, so if you're using Mural in Microsoft Teams or Miro because you're a hip, cool designer, this is Google's answer to those solutions. And I'm told if you're in a physical office, there are physical boards that you can throw this to. But
What what I'm not sure about Jamboard. I mean, they have their Jamboard. If you go to the Jamboard other website, they show these boards all over the place, and they have these cool physical boards to do things.
yeah,
So
I think that would be neat, but we don't have physical offices anymore, so I'm not going to run out and buy one.
yeah,
All right. So I'm going to put a sticky note on there and indicate rough proximity of friend. That is my first thought for out there. And I was thinking like you could have, I'm not sure how to do this, like, but maybe if you have uh a design, we have a defined list of colors and we might define variations on it for near and they're close, they're sort of medium distance, and they're far away. um, my understanding, I'm not certain about this, but my understanding is that the Bluetooth radios, especially BLE, comes with information about uh, how strong the signal is.
yeah. So we have some way to do light intensity on that of some kind.
Yeah, there is. I mean, it's actually, you just give it a different color, but you can make it look more or less intense. Yeah, well, that's a good one, Butch. Yeah, because both of us decide to choose red, uh, it's going to be a problem.
Yeah,
Or all three of
not a
us.
problem. Not a problem we'll worry about to begin with, but it could be a problem.
Yeah, right. Because right now, if I get any notification, then I know it's good.
Um, so what are our ideas on kinds of gameplay we would have?
Yeah, the tag, like
Um,
the notifying if someone's near or far, is the first one that I came up with. But I know from presentations that Jennifer Wadella has offered, she's the one who introduced me to Jewel Bots and made me think this is a cool toy. That people have modified these to make lots of other games. So I think there was some form of hot potato. So like uh, you had some way to select a color you're going to send it to, and when you send it, you want to, or when you receive it, you want to quickly give it away. Yeah, I guess you probably have to have some sort of timer on that to figure out who got stuck with the hot potato. Uh, I'm not sure how that would go. Yeah, tag, hide and seek. I feel like tag and hide and seek are variations on the same game.
they're the inverse, right? You want to get in tag, you want to get close to somebody, and when you get close to them, their light comes on, you're bored, and you're it. And with hide and seek, I guess they are kind of the same game. Hide and seek, you want to stay away from somebody. So yeah, they're probably the same game.
Probably variations that we could do on it though. Like if you're playing hide and seek, tag is just, well, tag has an it too, doesn't it? Hide and seek, I could see it. A tag, you always know who they are because you're chasing in a fairly confined area. Hide and seek, like knowing where the seeker is, the person who's it, that's not so much a part of that game.
Yeah. So to me, though, the big difference between tag and hide and seek is hide and seek. You have several people out there. One of them is it, and the seeker is going to go find everybody, and the last one found is kind of the winner, kind of thing.
Yeah.
In tag, it just, as soon as you tag somebody, they're now it, and the game is continuously going that way.
Yeah, that's a good one. The other thing, that hide and seek has a countdown feature
Yes.
to give people time to hide. Yeah, those are both good. Yeah, hot potatoes good. So I have questions about a card you added. Adjust list intensity to show proximity. How's that different than the card is right underneath?
I put that on there just to capture our thought about it. I think
Okay.
in these kind of our normal kind of brainstorming thing, you would just throw cards on the board and then you might group them together and say, yeah, these are all kind of, you know, these cards kind of go together.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks for putting that up there. I was just thinking of that. Okay, that works. Um, okay, so we've got three possible games for it. I like that. Um, hmm. What other obvious games could we get there? Hot potato could definitely be
Does
entertaining.
do these have an accelerometer on them?
I do not know. What are you thinking to do with the accelerometer?
Well, we could play catch.
Oh, I see where you're going. Uh,
You would have to know kind of direction for the other person, but if you could kind of understand the motion of your board when you swing it, that would give you a kind of a velocity and a direction that you were quote unquote throwing the
yeah,
thing.
I also think we could put something on the device that sort of assign people directions. Like,
Yeah.
if I've got four friends, I could put a light each color, assign it to a direction. All right. So I just pulled up the web page for this board. Are you okay with me switching off the Jamboard briefly to show the?
Yes.
All right. So these are the specs for the Circuit Playground, and maybe this is helpful for anybody who doesn't know what it is. That's a great picture of it right there. I'm sorry, the colors are all completely whack on this. Let me see if I can fix that.
Oh, you mean because your monitor's doing some color, not color balanced or something?
Yeah, OBS in particular just has different ideas about what's supposed to be on the screen or how the
Ah,
colors are supposed to be. Um, it gets its red and its blue all out of whack. Okay, so that's closer to the actual color that you should be expecting. For reasons that are
it
unclear to me,
it
okay,
does have a motion sensor. It's got a triple axis accelerometer with tap detection and free fall detection.
yeah.
Awesome.
So, uh, small item of concern. The wrong. It's showing the wrong browser. So that's a little meta there. I will do you a favor, Butch, and not leave you stuck on the screen in the stream. Uh, it's supposed to be a different browser, and it decided that I'm just gonna grab the. Uh, oh, and I know what it comes from because it grabs it by window title, and I had two windows with the same title.
Ah, yeah, those colors look better.
Yeah, it's not all out of whack. Okay, that's better. That was just too meta. So I mean, you can even see there's some nice little animations that it does. So yeah, let's go down to the list of stuff. So it's got light sensors.
Cool.
Acts as a color sensor and a pulse sensor. Now we could maybe find something fun to do with that. It's got a sound sensor. That's got some real. I don't remember the kids game that you played about see who can stay quiet the longest. Uh, Obviously, it's not one of my strong points. Let's see. We've got push buttons. We've got a slide switch. Oh, I hadn't thought about the slide switch for things. Um,
Cool. So it does have a speaker, temperature sensor. What can we do with the
Oh
temperature
yeah.
sensor?
Huh. There's definitely some possibilities with that.
I went and you were talking about doing this project with stuff, and I said, well, I'm going to do this long. I need to have me a couple of these. So I just went and got a couple, and I really didn't look at the specs very closely.
I didn't look at the specs when I got them either. I said, "Oh, look, it's got that processor I want. I'll figure out what to do with it." And fortunately, it's got a lot of neat stuff on it. Oh, that's a new products list. I thought I saw this. I got all excited about this keypad. It's like, wait, can one of these keypads control it? But the keypad's its own thing, all on its own. All right. So anyway, we have a lot of fun toys with this. We got 2 MB of storage. That's pretty good. Oh, used primarily with Circuit Python. I'm pretty sure we can get access to other things in that SPI flash storage. Uh, does it have GPS? No, that'd be a separate module.
That'd be a little impressive, wouldn't it?
It would be. That would be pretty awesome. Then we could have sort of. Well, you can play a remote follow the leader.
Yeah.
You know, your friend walked this route through the city on the map. Let's see how close you can stick to it. Or your friend walked this route through the forest on this map here. Let's see how close you can stick to it. That's more of a um, phone game. But yeah, motion sensor with tap detection and free fall detection. Oh, with tap detection, we've got a hot potato decider right there.
Yep.
Um, yeah, light and sound sensors seem like it's possible, but I don't know necessarily what's there. But the speaker is definitely going to give us a lot of capabilities. Uh, all right, well, we'll find something good to do out of all that stuff. Anyway, we've been going on for about an hour. I'm sure we've stretched the limits of what our viewers are willing to listen to. So we'll
So
take
that
this up.
that gives us some good ideas to get started and get the pipeline going, and then to a place to start as we have ideas for game play and other things. With now that we know that the list of sensors we're going to have ideas will occur to us, and we can stick them on the board.
Yep. And maybe this is a good opportunity too to show off some of the other features of uh, GitLab. There is an inline editor here. If I open this up and choose edit, so we can just say here's my ideas for future features, and it's at there.
Cool.
And okay, I'm editing the file. I'm going to commit the changes. I'm going to commit it to master. I'll have to change that branch name here in a bit. But all right, that's right in there. I could just click that. I go straight to the Jamboard, and people who aren't part of our team can't see it. So you can see it. I can see it.
It'll be give them a request.
Yeah.
Request access kind of thing.
Yep. I have enjoyed a Bailey Steinfeld to come play with us. I don't know if she'll be free to do it. She wasn't free tonight, but she thought she might be free next weekend to get started on this.
That would be awesome.
Yes. So probably don't need all these boards open, but so that's just a nice feature of GitLab, and I think GitHub might have this too.
It does.
Yeah. So even your non-technical people can on your team, you've got product owners that maybe aren't programmers and they don't use Git all the time. They could still come in and take a document like this, hit edit, and they can do basic editing in it and help the team out with things like documentation or capturing ideas. All right. I think that all said, we're done for the night. So I'm going to end the stream there.